Good day to you, wherever you're watching from. It's my pleasure, my privilege to welcome you once again to the POLITY, coming to you live from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN television. It's beautiful weather out here. I don't know what's happening at your end. I hope you are having some great weather too. Whatever it is, together we will be looking at certain issues around the polity, around Nigeria's political space, and about the Tinubu administration. And I should be joined by a guest very shortly. And when he does come, I will be doing the unveiling. But just before he comes in, we will be looking at the 15-month period of the Tinubu administration that he has spent thus far, and the low and the high points, and where exactly needs some rejig, where there's need to applaud, and where there's need to thumbs down, and all that and all that. That and a little bit more is what we'll be looking at. I'm probably looking at some of the opposition parties and whether or not they've lived up to their billing as opposition parties. And we'll be looking at several issues in the area of human rights record of the government, in the area of the economy, in the area of maybe something that has to do with the welfare of the people, and how whether we've made progress or not. And maybe we need to also look at whether or not we want to continue in the current trajectory, or whether there's a need to retrace our steps concerning the fuel subsidy removal and all the issues that have come up based on it. And so these are some of the things that we will be interrogating in the course of today's show. And so I expect a great show, and I expect that you'll be there, you'll be steadfast with us, and that not just that you'll take part in the show by making calls to let us have your own take on the issues in the course of time. Of course, at the appropriate time, we will put the phone number on the screen so that you also can have your say, because together we'll have an assignment to build a greater Nigeria from wherever or whatever point it is on the scale right now. It's our duty, it's our responsibility to put our hands together to make this a reality. And I do know that we can. I do know that if we indeed put our minds to it, there's nothing that's beyond us. And so we'll just need to have a positive spirit, a positive outlook, and faith in our dear nation, because we have no other country that we can call ours. It's Nigeria, and Nigeria all the way. If all the people have built their own countries from the very brass tacks and they've gotten somewhere, there's nothing stopping you and I, Nigerians, from building our nation into a colossus for now and for the generations to come. And so wherever you are right now, let's brace up, because there's work to be done. And this work requires that you make your contributions, that you maybe like an agency says, when you see something, you say something, and then and such other attitudes. We need a rebirth, a moral rebirth, generally, clearly, because we can't continue to be like the lazy man who complains about his tools. It's not about the tools. There are people who will use the same tools and get great results. So we can't continue to talk about, oh, it's the system, oh, it's that, oh, it's this. I think that first of all, we have a lot of work to do on ourselves to ensure that this nation moves forward. For example, the system is not the one that is being corrupt. It's the people that are being corrupt. It's the people who are shortchanging the system, who are circumventing the system, and turning things upside down to ensure that they line their pockets even to the detriment of all and sundry. So these are some of the things that we need to consider even as we discuss our national, national issues, the issues that constantly give us a whole lot of worry. But rather than worry, I think that we need to take action. We all need to take action. We all need to be ready to take action. Else, our worries won't amount to much. Because like the wise would say, there are two things you don't have to worry about. Whatever it is that you can do something about, you don't have to worry about it. Whatever it is that you can't do anything about, you also don't have to worry about it. So if you can do something about it, then go ahead and take action and do something about it. If you cannot, then also leave it, because whether you worry from now till the end of time, there will be no difference. After this break, I'll be right back.
While wrapping up the day, unwind with the reminiscence of the day's news from home and abroad with KAFTAN TV 7 p.m. News.
Good to have you join us on KAFTAN News at 7.
Nigerians are living in up to 5%. Our young people purpose the Harmony Symphony.
It's good to have you join us on KAFTAN TV News at 7.
What we found that the 10 naira card is not actually sufficient.
National, foreign news headlines. Get balanced, accurate facts on the latest news in business, politics, entertainment, sports, and more. Live from our studios.
Many thanks for watching, and join us again at 9
KAFTAN TV News.
In the beginning, God created a beautiful world.
3, 2, 1. Action.
And that's why, at KAFTAN Television,
We imagine a beautiful world.
We are not just bragging.
we blaze the trail in broadcasting. And it is about you.
At KAFTAN TV, broadcasting is not just about information, education, and entertainment.
It's an aggregation of all you need to know in Nigeria.
And around the world to create Segun.
At KAFTAN Television, we have all it takes to be on top in broadcasting.
Our mission is simple: to project Africa in a truthful yet positive manner.
Wait, we're coming to you in style.
Here we are, starting from September.
Look at what the facts are.
And as we say on KAFTAN TV, imagine a beautiful world.
Do you want wider patronage of your goods and services?
Do you want your goods and services to have traction?
Do you desire to make more sales and increase your return on investment?
KAFTAN TV has got you covered because you can achieve all this with reasonable amounts of money.
With modest charges, we are the best around here for advertising and product promotion.
Whatever you want to say it for us on KAFTAN TV.
We are a global multimedia platform aimed at positioning the African viewpoint
on Startimes channels 480 and 124 and free-to-air NIGCOMSAT channels 12518, symbol rate 29500.
With crystal clear digital signals, we reach no fewer than 54 million viewers around the world. For advert bookings and sponsorship of programs, please call
Silas on 081 615 19559, Khadija on 070 713-721-15 or Ruben on 080-234-47703.
KAFTAN TV.
Imagine a beautiful world.
Do you want wider patronage of your goods and services?
Do you want your goods and services to have traction?
Do you desire to make more sales and increase your return on investment?
KAFTAN TV has got you covered because you can achieve all this with reasonable amount of money.
With modest charges, we are the best around here for advertising and products promotion.
Whatever you want to say it for us on KAFTAN TV.
We are a global multimedia platform aimed at positioning the African viewpoint
on Startimes channels 480 and 124 and free-to-air NIGCOMSAT channels 12518, symbol rate 29500.
With crystal clear digital signals, we reach no fewer than 54 million viewers around the world. For advert bookings and sponsorship of programs, please call
Silas on 081-615-19559, Khadija on 070-713-721-15 or Ruben on 080-234-47703.
KAFTAN TV.
Imagine a beautiful world.
Do you
While wrapping up the day, unwind with the reminiscence of the day's news from home and abroad with KAFTAN TV 7 p.m. news.
Good to have you join us on KAFTAN News at 7.
Are living in up to 5%. Are young people who prefers the harmony symphony.
It's good to have you join us on KAFTAN TV News at 7.
We found that the 10 naira tax is not actually sufficient.
National foreign news headlines. Get balanced, accurate facts on the latest news in business, politics, entertainment, sports, and more. Live from our studios.
Many thanks for watching. Join us again at 9
KAFTAN TV News.
In the beginning, God created a beautiful world.
3, 2, 1. Action.
And that's why, at KAFTAN Television,
we imagine a beautiful world.
We are not just bragging.
We blaze the trail in broadcasting. And it is about you.
At KAFTAN TV, broadcasting is not just about information, education, and entertainment.
It's an aggregation of all you need to know in Nigeria
And around the world to create signal.
At KAFTAN Television, we have all it takes to be on top in broadcasting.
Our mission is simple: to project Africa in a truthful yet positive manner.
Wait, we're coming to you in style.
Here we are, starting from September.
Look at what the facts are.
And as we say on KAFTAN TV, imagine a beautiful world.
Do you want wider patronage of your goods and services?
Do you want your goods and services to have traction?
Do you desire to make more sales and increase your return on investment?
KAFTAN TV has got you covered because you can achieve all this with reasonable amount of money.
With modest charges, we are the best around here for advertising and products promotion.
Whatever you want to say it for us on KAFTAN TV.
We are a global multimedia platform aimed at positioning the African viewpoint
on Startimes channels 480 and 124 and free to air NIGCOMSAT channels 12518, symbol rate 29500.
With crystal clear digital signals, we reach no fewer than 54 million viewers around the world. For advert bookings and sponsorship of programs, please call
Silas on 081 615 19559, Khadija on 070 713 72115, or Ruben on 080 234 47703.
KAFTAN TV.
Imagine a beautiful world.
Do you want wider patronage of your goods and services?
Do you want your goods and services to have traction?
Do you desire to make more sales and increase your return on investment?
KAFTAN TV has got you covered because you can achieve all this with reasonable amounts of money.
With modest
You're welcome back to the POLITY, coming to you from KAFTAN Television from the Abuja studios. And right now, my guest is here in the person of the indomitable Chief Segun Sowunmi. Chief Segun Sowunmi is a politician, a PDP chieftain, and he's been a spokesperson to the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar for very many years, a role which he played very excellently to the admiration of many, including even opponents. And today, he is PDP chairman hopeful. He will, together with myself, be looking at the issues around Nigeria in the last 15 months of Tinubu's administration. And I hope that it will be a wonderful ride together. You're welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Very good to have you at last. We've had quite some dilly-dally and all that. Okay, you're welcome here.
Thank you.
And I do know that this is the place where it's happening. I hope that you take the gospel out when you go out there.
Everybody.
Now, so quickly, we'll start this way. On a general note, on an overall note, how would you rate Tinubu administration's performance in the last 15 months on like 100% scale?
I think I would say they've been woeful. On a 100% scale, I'll give them 20.
20?
Yeah, I'll give them 20. It's been very woeful. I take into cognizance their intention.
Okay.
When they were campaigning.
Campaigning, yeah.
You know, I always tell people, for economic theories, for political theories, there are no hard and fast rules. There's no right or wrong per se. So what you need to do is to try and listen very well to what the fellow is saying. And then try to evaluate them based on what they say. Even if you do not agree with their position, you should respect it. Right. And then evaluate them based on that. And I'll put all of that into consideration. And the performance of Ashad Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his government is woeful. Let me start to unpeel it for you.
Right.
When you take over power from a party that is yours,
yes,
your hand is tied to your back to some extent, because you are going to have to inherit both the assets and the liabilities.
And the liabilities, yeah.
Within that context, you must know that a big government, after such a government that you are inheriting, is a no-no. The minimum requirement of the Constitutional Federal Republic of Nigeria is that you must have one minister per state.
Per state.
So even if you wanted to obey that, that's 36.
36.
He ended up with 40.
If not over.
At first 40, if not over.
Yeah.
So that means that he didn't understand. He didn't really bring himself to speed with the need to have a lean government. Then, if you have a government that was before you, that was run the way it was run, you also want to take into consideration the need to balance your cabinet in such a way that every aspect of the country, at least the 6th geopolitical zone, can find expression for themselves in your government.
Right.
In that regard, again, he didn't do well. He created a cabinet that skewed too much in the direction of his own geopolitical zone.
All right.
He barely gave the Southeast 5. And then you look at why we created federal character in the first instance was to help us from many tribes and many tongues to become one people. The way you do that, and the thought behind how you do that, is that you make sure that no one can say they got better than the other. You can't decide that almost all the, for want of a better adjective, juicy portfolios will go to a section. Again, he did that. Now, the most painful of his decision was he did not understand the national bureaucracy he was coming to sit on top. You can be governor in Lagos. That is an ethnic place. They are all Yorubas.
Exactly.
Most of the people who live in Lagos, most of the people who live in Lagos are not even Lagosians. What it takes to manage the traditional owners of that state is very little. Once you are okay with their traditional institution, you can get away with murder. But when you come to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, every living soul here is a bona fide citizen of this country. And so he must be able to find himself in your policy, and he must be able to feel that you're empathizing with him. So when you come on board the first day, they are swearing you in, subsidy is gone.
Wow.
In a lackadaisical attitude, almost like you say, deal with it. Now that's fine. The Nigerian people being the, patient and forbearing people that they are, they gave you time. Once you remove subsidy, you're going to start making extra money from the next day.
That's correct.
Because the prices will be adjusted.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? That tells you more money is coming to the coffers of the government. What did you plan to do with it? You chose to share it according to the previous revenue formula without increasing wages of workers. So it means that going by the last expenses of governors and local government, which remained the same. They had a lot more money.
More money, yeah.
What were you expecting was going to happen? Given our system, those monies are going to find themselves into the black market. Stockpiling dollars and putting pressure on the dollar. Then you say, okay, you want to float your currency. Okay, the thinking behind it is that, think about it this way. The thinking behind it is that you as government, who has permission to give people the right to take dollars in your CBN, have no capacity to make sure that they don't round trip. And because you failed in your supervisory oversight, then you put the burden of devaluation on the citizen, which effectively means, apart from the fact that you are devaluing the currency, you are eating into their savings. Let me break it down for you.
Wow.
If you had 10 million naira before the devaluation, and that your 10 million naira, the value was X amount of dollars. Maybe 200 when we were living, maybe if you like, you will call it 700 or whatever the value was. And then the next day, the money, you haven't done anything. They brought it to 1,600. What has happened to your savings?
Of course, it has
devalued. Now, when you devalue your savings in an import-based economy, what happens? You even now need more quantity of the little money you have
to be able to
buy anything. So these are the things that I gave him 20% is because I'm generous.
Oh, 20% is even generous.
I am extremely generous. And then from then on, what did he do? He came again and then he decided that he wanted to cushion the effect of his policies. And then he chose again, like I don't understand what the guy studied. Anybody who knows anything about financing will know that you cannot give back to the people wholesale, especially when the environment is corrupt. You have to do it in retail. So what did he do? He chose to gather the money he said he wanted to give the people, called that the fish. He handed it over to the cat, called those ones the governor, and then he said, go ahead to give it to the rat, call those ones the citizen. So tell me, how does he expect the rat
to get
the fish from the cat? Or how does he expect the rat to come and now meet the lion and tell the lion, oh lion, the fish you sent the rat to give me, they didn't deliver it. So that's why you don't do that kind of thing wholesale. What you need to do retail, and he could have done it retail. There are too many retail outlets, all this OPay,
that will go directly.
That will go direct. Any sensible economist, any sensible accountant will understand that it's too risky to do it wholesale. Then what did he do next that made him get very small points? He decided to enter the grains market and mop up grains by buying it and then dashing it to the people for free, saying he's doing palliative. What does that do? That dislocates the price.
Yeah.
Because once you buy it, you take it off them. The people can participate in the market. You take the grains. Again, you don't have a mechanism to give it to them like other countries do. You give it to some of your ministers and that. They take it home. They hoard it. They use it for their political give back. The majority of the citizens of the country don't get it. And you are amazed that Nigerians are unhappy. I gave him 20 because I'm a very generous master. If I were to be the Sowunmi or Sowunmi who is marking a mathematics script, he got 0.
All right, now, Chief, let's do this.
Okay.
Are you one of those who believe that Tiwaju Obashelo, if you can't make progress in the direction that you currently are on, why don't you then retreat? Are you one of those who believe that you could still save Nigeria and Nigerians by returning to by restoring subsidy? No. Because I have had guests here who say that that's the only solution to our problems.
No. I understand the concept of the free market economy.
Good.
And I understand the concept of government saying government has no business in business, whatever that meant.
Yeah.
And I understand the concept of you can't be burning hydrocarbon and also be burning or creating debts. That means you are not generating enough resource in country.
Yes, the resource is being,
and then you are putting it on hydrocarbon and you are burning. I do not subscribe to that.
Okay.
What I expect him to do at this time is to press the default button, stop assuming he knows more than everybody, open up himself to better people in the country who can stimulate and harvest better ideas, and then start trimming the pork from where he's standing. Nations go through difficult period. Take the case of Ukraine. There's war going on there. Have you seen the citizens tell you that they want to fight their government? Take the case of Palestine and the Middle East without getting involved in the right or wrong of the argument. Something is going on there.
Yeah.
Nations will empathize with the leaders if the leaders leave the season. Let me repeat. Citizens will empathize with leaders if the leaders are leaving the season. He made it worse by them not leaving the season. What do I mean? You're buying the private jet.
At a time
you
like this.
You're not buying the private jet alone. You're buying bulletproof Escalade. You're not buying Escalade alone. You pretended as if the former vice president Oshibaju was living in a dump yard. You're building a new house for your vice president. You are not doing that alone. You are decorating event venues of your first lady with stupendous amount of money. You are not doing that alone. You are appropriating for a yacht. You are not doing that alone. You see, almost you're buying big cars for your House of Assembly and Reps.
Right.
You are not doing that alone. You're spending money like it's going out of fashion. You are not doing that alone. You are allowing your own biological children to be speaking to national issues in a manner that will irritate. You are not doing that alone. People are saying and rumoring to us that, oh, you have a son that is even a Mr. Fix-It around the 220 million Nigerian Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And yet you want the people to line up behind you.
For you to be able to get the people to be on your side, you must first of all be willing to punish those who created the mess. There are marketers, there are private sector investors, there are people who created the mess. Citizens must see you punishing them. So citizens can understand, okay, the people that caused us this pain are being dealt with. You are not doing that. People must understand, citizens must understand that, oh, the government itself has trimmed its own budget. It's not spending money anyhow. We are all on the same page. These are the things you expect him to do. So I don't expect him to say, oh, tomorrow morning is going to reverse what we don't even have money to pay for. But I expect him to be a bit more creative. I expect him to tell governors, this is not the time for everybody just doing anyhow they like. If you want to run it like a military regime, then run it like one. In which case you are saying, gentlemen, this. I expect him to scale up agriculture. Right. I don't expect him to scale up agriculture by saying he's going to be sitting there in one office. They'll be doing seminar upon seminar upon seminar upon seminar that gets nowhere. I expect him to tell local government, each local government, go and open up certain acreage of land in your area, whether you are planting it by yourself, whether you just go and plant it. And then say, let me see how we're going to rack up certain things. I expect him to tell governors, I expect you to start being on the field. I expect people to see you holding the hoe and the cutlass in a symbolic manner to show that you are farming. There are too many things you can do with the large population. But what you cannot do with the large population is you cannot tell the people of the country, oh, just continue to suffer, continue to carry burden, continue to have the pressure of taxes, be unable to eat, and then don't worry, we were here. You know, man. That's what he's doing.
After all, we had a leader who said, "Let them be protesting while we're feasting."
Within his regime, he had the misfortune of a Senate president that jokes about too much, who his words sometimes even send the wrong signal to society.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he meant that way.
But it shouldn't even have come out in the first instance.
I guess what was happening, you know, I like to be fair.
Yeah, sure.
I guess what was happening, that I was trying to tell the Niger Delta militants that, look, government is accommodating, but again, it borders down of lack of empathy, lack of feeling, carelessness.
That's a takeaway from the people, clearly.
Exactly.
Clearly. Now, let's go a little bit to some of the specifics.
Okay.
If you had to talk about the foreign policy of this regime.
Again. He came into government. You know, the problem with Ashaju is that you can be good in Lagos
and
relative to the Yoruba playbook of Obafemi Awolowo, or even the modernized version of it, which you can call the Bola Tinubu playbook, if you like.
All right.
But that would not suffice for the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
That's what we're seeing.
Exactly. So when he came in, what did he do? We were the one. We started ECOWAS at the Lagos Protocol in 1977. Lagos State here. That's what started ECOWAS. All the cities were there. Everybody was there. It was one of the strongest blocs in the world. So you come in there. There's a challenge in Niger. Niger has always supported us. Even during the Civil War, it supported us. Even when Cameroon and some others were playing games. What did you do? They're having a challenge of military dictatorship. You didn't even wait to see whether you understand. You didn't check to see how many of the states in our country border Niger. You started threatening to go and invade them. You were threatening what you can't really do. So before you knew what was happening, they morphed together, they leave ECOWAS. So you are president of ECOWAS, or chairman of ECOWAS, and it has been diminished. The ECOWAS itself has been diminished.
Yeah.
Because you don't understand it. Then, okay, you have your friends, people say you are doing diplomatic shuttle, economic diplomacy. I don't understand what that means. Africa is a European territory. Let me repeat. Africa is a European territory to the extent that they are our direct neighbors. South America is closer to the Americans. The Asians are a bloc.
Right.
The world has been balanced on that long-term relationship that we have with ourselves. When you want to go headlong into China, you need to start asking yourself, have you checked to see the full import of the kinds of attitude of Chinese business when it comes to Nigerian defaults? Because the government, some issue in our Ogun State happened, and some Chinese man, not even thinking that, oh, we're talking about a nation.
A nation.
He runs and starts trying to pay all our assets. These are the kinds of things you have to see. We never used to have that with the Europeans.
That's correct.
Now, if you don't want to run into China full speed, you have to be sure that you are not a people that think that anybody that dangles money is your next best friend. You have to be careful, you have to be guarded, you have to be measured. Because some other blocks, like the Europeans, have had our backs for such a long time that, okay, we can't be doing like we want to go away from them completely in the direction
of China. We've
never had an issue with Russia. Russia as a federation has always supported us, always. When we have issues, they are for us. When we have, they are for us. We've not looked in their direction. We have suddenly leapfrogged Europe, our direct neighbor, leapfrogged America, the ones we copied our democracy, and we're dancing woo-you for the Chinese. I hope they know what they're doing. When the world is the way it is, and economic diplomacy is required, a nation that is a market must have better bargaining opportunities. And in better bargaining opportunities, he has to decide what is his diplomatic and foreign policy direction. I think they need to rewrite it now. It's time for us to say that our foreign policy direction will be non-aligned, because we are non-aligned, but pro-Nigeria and pro our investment and pro our facility. And for everybody that wants to do business with us, we need to be asking them to open their market for us. There's no point in having 120, 200 and something million people and won't be demanding access to market. Some of them are bringing us technology. They should be taking agri product from us. Some of them are bringing us cars. They should be taking some wood from us. Some of them are bringing us this. They should be taking. There has to
be some.
Yes, but people who are so covetous, to use the word, who like money, and think that the only thing that solves all the problem is money, as against national orientation, as against natural values, as against standing for something, as against having a skill that helps you to decide what is the best for the country, as against making sure that the mass of your people can be centrally placed in your policies and government. You cannot run Nigeria as a nation for maximum profit when your people can barely participate. So even at that,
it's an unbalanced relationship.
You will see, it's going to bring misery. You can blame certain sections of the country, you can blame certain regions of the country for certain dislocation. For instance, you can say Northerners, you have not been fair to your people. The last 50 years of the resources that the federal government has passed into your hands, you have not managed Millennium Development Goal here. We need to fix that.
Right.
Come with the policy and the program that allows us to fix it. That's what I'll be doing in the north. You can go to the southeast. Southeasterners, I get you are very angry. There's a need for us to have a national rapprochement for you. Finish these quarrels and all that. Let us settle this matter once and for all. And we need to be fair to you. Bring me a proposal. That's what I'll do. Southwest, you are beginning to lose numbers when it comes to even the out-of-school children and the basic things that you are supposed to be doing in the investment in education and sustainability. You are not bring me a proposal. You need to be, when you are the president of Nigeria, you must have the fact that every part of this nation matters to you. And every part of this nation, they do not have the same challenges. They don't have the same challenges. So you must be designing your economic policies in such a way that it meets each of them where they are. If you run and say, oh, I'm going to be doing ICT, and all that, you are basically saying I'm going to run a government that is going to be favorable to the South.
To the South, that's correct.
Because the mass number of people who can play at that level are more in the South. Yeah. Okay, so on what basis are you going to engage the North? Or are you going to run a country where the vast majority of people will be living in squalor, while some of them will be, how is that going to even be balanced? You need to be a leader that look at your citizens straight in the eye. Scold the ones that are disturbing them.
Yeah.
But because the mass of the people know that you are for them, they will always be for you. The mass of the people are more than the bourgeoisies. They are more than the high class. But if you are living your life only to favor, if you like,
the elite,
not just the elite, the Sherlocks, the ones who own 5%, who own everything.
Yeah.
How do you expect the mass of people to be happy? A leader's job is to carry the burden of the mass of the people, not to carry the burden of the extremely overfed, pampered leaders in the situation. You have not punished one person. He has not come on board to tell, okay, this happened, all sorts of stories. They sold our oil up front. They did this. They retrieved our money. You have not punished anybody. You have only tried to scapegoat one or two.
Maybe the CBN governor is being punished right now.
No, you can't scapegoat one or two when there's a national mali. When there's a national mess. You have the figures. You have the security agencies. The rap sheet of all these people are with you. Why is it that the citizens are the ones feeling pained and not the ones who...
And even being punished for expressing their misery.
Why are the citizens who are feeling pain? And the ones who got the citizens into this mess, why are they living life as if it's business as usual?
Wow. Now, still talking about the foreign policy,
yeah.
What could be the reason for non-appointment of ambassadors and...
Again, that's one of the reasons why you have to score him zero.
Till now.
You have to score him, like you have to score him zero.
At least 10 months after they were sacked.
You have to score him zero. He doesn't know how to form government. It is far, anybody can win an election. The emotions of the country can be right, the money can be right, the communication can be right, the creative can be right, the party platform may be ready, you win an election. But that's the simplest part. Forming government forming the government is more difficult. Well, they don't know and they won't learn. To form government, once you win, the process of forming government commences. The first thing you have to get out of the way are your ministers.
Right.
How do you form in? How do you get the ministers? There are critical stakeholders in this country whose input from their areas must come into your ministerial. You can't do it alone. That talk of I spent my money to get the election, I know it's all jargon. Some people are territorial commanders, so you have to tell them, oh, we're looking for an agreed person in this model, give us a few names, so they will feel a part of your government. Right. First point. Immediately you sort out your ministers. There is a list in the office of the Secretary to the government of the nation that has the list of boards you have to fill, the list of ambassadors you have to fill. How do we normally do it? You divide it into 4. A certain number to the presidency, a certain numbers to the Senate, a certain numbers to the representative, a certain number to your party. When it gets to your party, the parties will divide it into 36. That will go to each of the states. Then the state will sit down and nominate names. And then you collect everything together. Within 2 months, maximum 3, all your boards are filled, all your ambassadors are filled, some of your people who work very hard for you, everybody will find themselves situated. What are they doing? They're sitting down there. It's rumored, I don't have any facts on it, that people are just going in piecemeal. People are sorting out their friends, Why do you think they're losing traction? They're losing traction because the people that did the donkey work to bring them in are suddenly looking at themselves, holding the short end of the stick, and they've done 16 months already. The administration is almost but gone.
And yet,
they have not
started.
They have not fulfilled the simplest responsibility of populating all of the responsibilities that government expects. They don't have ministers, they don't have ambassadors, they have not finished filling up their boards, all their statutory agencies are not fully completed. They're not serious. They are not serious. So when I said giving them 20 was generous. Bring another sector and I'll tell you.
Of course, we're going to go to 2 or more sectors.
Okay, I'll be happy.
Right. We already talked somewhat of the economy before we veered into foreign policy. Let's talk about security of lives and property. And let's talk about human rights records. Just yesterday, we heard that the courts had granted bail to some protesters in the sum of 10 million naira, and then with a shorty in the like sum.
Because some of them are likely going to stay long in prison.
Exactly. That's the import of it, that they don't want to give them any bail. Because some of those people probably don't even have any jobs.
Okay.
And then you're asking that they bring 10 million and they ought to have a shorty who has the same 10 million and who has landed property. And
let us divide it into 2. Let's divide it into 2.
Yeah, sure.
On the security bit, I think that our kinetic approach to this problem of insecurity in the north is not working.
Or should it be shored up?
No, it's not. Listen, it's not working. If it was working, we will not be there for so long, and every day there will be a new crisis. We need a conversation with the north, northern leaders, to the right down to their imams, and I want to ask them, gentlemen, if a nation is killing its own citizen by itself, and citizens of the country are collaborating with killers of their own people, what can government do? So let us scale up opinions, suggestions, and all that, and let our family and ruthlessly go and apply it. I have insisted that you need to give governors more capacity to police their environment by having a multimodal policing infrastructure, so that the excuse of we're not the chief security officer, we don't have the authority, we can't recruit officers, we can't put people to man all our spaces will be gone. We have tried this unitary system of policing. It has not worked enough effectively. You should do a multimodal policing infrastructure.
So you will gladly support a state police?
Since last week.
Wow.
They are late on it. Because how do you expect the governor sitting in Zamfara not to have an excuse when he could say, oh, I called they didn't come? Is policing only about carrying guns? What about the intelligence gathering aspect of it? If you give them the opportunity to get their own police, at least the first responders will be theirs.
Right.
They will likely be their own citizens, and therefore they ought to have a bigger desire to protect themselves. Or what is to be gained? The people killing our people every day. It's the same thing all over. The South is the same, the Southwest is the same, and all that. When you have tried a model for so long and it's not working, you cannot be romanticizing an idea that it will work, especially when we have been dealing with these challenges. The investment we put in there, the monies and all of that, does not reflect that we are getting value for money. And you can't tell me that a country that could go to a civil war, fight in the swampy area, draw the lines clearly, and root out whatever needed to be rooted out, put all the strategy in place to subdue the areas that needed to be subdued, we'll be fighting on flat land, the savannah land that you can see with very good optical equipment, and you will not be able to do. The question is, who's providing logistics? Who's feeding them? Who is moving them? How
they getting intelligence?
How they forget intelligence. There's something called global orbit satellite.
Right.
You can pay and look at every part of Nigeria from the sky.
Maybe it's so expensive Nigeria can't afford it.
It's not expensive. They are not serious. They are not serious. Anyway, on security, I don't want to give you too much of a knock because these problems he inherited.
Right.
So, well, I'll just leave him with whatever score anybody wants to give him. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm not impressed. You see, on human rights, we are at a point where we must ask ourselves that for a nation that is on a journey to self-discovery, shall that nation be so weak that just any Tom, Dick, or Harry can call the people into the street to a riot? And if the nation is not going to be so weak to that extent, what ought the nation to do to discourage that?
To avert that.
To discourage that.
Right.
You can then begin to say, okay, maybe this their style is to prevent frequent occurrence of a national implosion. I disagree with them only to the extent that when the people tell you we're going to go on strike and give you notice.
Notice, right.
When they gave you notice, they have given you goodwill. You cannot waste that goodwill
and still come
only to come back and then come and start doing that. And then when you tell people bail is supposed to be a goodwill donated by the court on the principle that a man is innocent until he's found guilty. If you make the bail conditions so stringent, it's almost as if you do not desire to give them bail. Then you will then have to ask yourself, what do you think you are doing here? You want to turn yourself into a civilian dictator? Okay, well and good. But remember that if you want to turn yourself into a civilian dictator, remember that you don't have a mono-ethnic, mono-linguist, monocultural country where you can be so sure that everybody is on the same page with you. Once you have a multi-ethnic, multicultural country, you are going to end up making yourself unduly scared. Because by running it that way, you are going to be so scared of the next man that does not come from your mother's womb.
That's it.
And once you start getting scared of everybody, you're going to end up being in a golden prison, which he is already.
My God. Now, let's take this. You said a while ago that you think that the whole essence of their strategy on this matter is to prevent frequent disturbances of social. Now, don't you think beyond that it's also a way to send fear into the system?
Whatever it is that you call, you see, I said it to discourage. Fear would also discourage.
So, should fear be a government policy?
Well, I mean, I didn't use the word fear.
But that's what.
No, I wrote a piece, but I did not share it because I thought that if I shared it, I'll be doing him too much of a favor. No, I wrote the piece, but I didn't share it. I was just writing, thinking as a leader should think, and then I said, okay, no, it will be. I may go and instigate him even further. And what I was trying to say in that piece is, in a democracy, who are the enemies of the state?
Good.
And I was saying to myself that once you do an election, and the verdict is in, and you have used the instrument of the courts, and you have exhausted that, then everybody in the country, especially those that ran the election and came short, must readjust their rhetorics to prevent the implosion of the country. And that if they don't do that, then it is the responsibility of the state to see them as the enemy of the state.
And deal with them as such.
I don't know whether they should have to do them. But once they see them as enemy of the state, then they will have to double up their security interface on them, double up their profile. The reason why is that Africa cannot afford to be perpetually in political conversation. We must have time for politics and we must have time for governance. But I was beginning to see that if we're not careful, the governments will be constantly in a state of reactionary politics because those who win or lose elections do not adjust to the mode of let us deliver our country. And okay, if with due respect to the others that are saying, if we cannot solve the problem, what makes you think that they can? the challenges that the country is facing, if he's struggling with it, don't you think it's too simplistic for them to just sit down there and say they have the solution? Especially when they are not profiling the same thing. They are not profiling the solution. All they are doing is they are harvesting national anger and throwing it in his face. We can't be a great nation that way. If we're going to keep this democracy, political period, say whatever you want in pros, in this, in that, run to the elections. Let us pray and hope that we can have a clean election so that the integrity of the election is very high. I will support anything to increase that. But once the election is over, you can go to the court as you are allowed. But once the Supreme Court is over, that's it.
Right.
Otherwise, we'll never be able to develop our country.
Very good. Now, if like we have agreed, like you have made the point very lucidly, that the performance of the government is not hitting desired bar. Now, what exactly then is the place of the citizen? How do they express? I mean, is protest not supposed to be a form of a feedback that would help even the government to be able to govern better?
You know, it's true. Protests are useful, but when you move from a military system and you have moved from a dictatorial system,
so that is an overhang.
So when you move into a civilian regime, the language of protest has to change. The language of protest in a civilian regime must be more conciliatory, more persuasive, more, alternative solution providing. You see, the business of call out does more damage to the system. An informal economy like ours, every time you shut down this country, you're as good as saying you have taken 500 billion naira out of our economy. Now, can you imagine if you shut it down for 10 days? The economy is like a train. When you start it, you go chuck, chuck, and then it takes on speed. Every time you shut it down, exactly. Part of the reason why there was a grid on the fuel station was as a result of that 10 days.
Because
the tankers could not
load.
So when you are in a democracy, you want to try and convince other stakeholders that, look, gentlemen, this system of protest that we use for the military regime, we need to change it now. Why? Because in the first instance, the fellow that is in charge of the country already has a date of referendum, the next election. So if you sensitize people, if you talk about issues like I do, and you bring up alternative viewpoints, it is always easier for you to persuade your citizens to be interested, ready and willing for the next election, as against undue protest, undue militarization that will then make your citizens get fed up of the whole democratic journey. And some of them will start calling for Russian flag, some of them will calling for military, some of them will not come out again, and then the voting numbers will be getting reduced. Most people who have something sensible to do with their lives hardly come out on election day. It is because we have not allowed ourselves to metamorphose into democracy properly. And labor unions, they need to understand the original reason why labor union was encouraged is to work for the welfare of workers. There has to be a differentiation between labor looking for the interest of workers and labor becoming an arm of a political party that is just causing chaos. So in that regard, if only the president had trimmed the pork around him, if only he had, lived the season too with his ministers and all that, I would have supported him against all this everyday call-out. You know why? To be fair to him, in 1 year, how many call-outs has he had to endure? Aviation workers, strike, no plane.
Health.
Workers, it's too much. This is just one country. And every time you can't, the labor movement can be stronger than constituted authority. Constituted authority must be fair, must be ideal, must be just, but must also have the gravitas to be able to lead.
I don't know. We have so much to talk about, else it's something I would have loved to dwell on. Because the labor unions also represent the people, and if the government, they represent a fraction,
they represent those of them that are organized. They represent those of them that are lucky enough to be given a job, mostly by the government. Their output is not very heavy, so therefore they cannot be overexcited at only destabilizing the country.
Well, don't they represent a substantial fraction of the people?
Not a substantial. The population of Nigeria is 220 million. The vast majority of them don't have jobs.
All right, okay. Maybe we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. But then, over time, you would have found out over this period that parties are not speaking.
PDP is?
PDP has not been speaking.
No, we have.
No, what we have had, with due respect, Chief, is former Vice President Atiku speaking.
He's the leader of the party.
Well, he's the leader of the party, but the party is not speaking as a corporate entity, as a registered party. I do know that there's someone who's supposed to be speaking consistently who's not doing that.
Okay,
you are speaking here. You're a PDP member.
Yeah, let me explain.
But you don't speak for the party.
Let me explain how it is for you.
So I begin to think, is it fear? Is it cowardice? Is it that the parties, the opposition parties, are in league with the ruling party?
Okay. In fairness to the PDP, Dayo Agba, who is their public secretary now, he writes and puts out releases every day, almost every other day, on almost all issues, to be fair. He's not a talker like me.
Okay.
And he writes really long and difficult to, and Nigerians don't like to read. So invariably, there's a need for us to scale up the speaking aspect.
That's it.
And I make up for that.
No, but you're not in the...
No. As national public secretary of the party, releases come almost every day from his handle.
Good point.
Which are the points of the party, the position.
Right.
The things I say and the things I give vent to, they don't depart materially from our position. But I have the gift of the gab. I know this. It's very difficult for anybody to take me on when it comes to this thing. So I then double up for him on behalf of the party by putting a lot of energy and a lot of gusto and speech into it. Atiku Abubakar is the last candidate of the party. He has a duty to provide alternative viewpoint, because if he had been president, he would have been running the party, and almost every second, every minute, something is coming out from his tweets. Now, who are you expecting to speak on behalf of a political party? Is it just the National Public Secretary, or is it not the totality of what we are saying? If Atiku is saying so much, and tweeting so much, and writing so much, and offering so much as leader, and I'm literally a parrot on this matter, and Dayo is releases everything, I tell you what is wrong. I can help you.
Right.
What you people have become used to is what is wrong.
Oh, you think so?
What you are used to is the pulling down.
No. You don't have to be pulling down. No.
When they were in opposition.
Very good. Let me ask you.
When they were in opposition, all they did was just become a mess on the country.
No, let's put clarity to that. Now, when APC was to come into power, in the 2014, 2015, you would find out the spokesman for the party at the time was Lai Mohammed.
Yes.
And every single step that the PDP government of that time took, within 48 hours, there was either a press release or a conference to say, we don't agree with this. So, what is that wrong? Is that not the role?
What I'm saying is that what made you people love that style was that Lai could speak, and he spoke.
Is it so difficult for the PDP, for example, as the leading opposition
party
of today, to hire alongside Dayo, to hire Dayo Agba, alongside Dayo Agba, to hire, like you quote unquote,
me,
a parrot, somebody that can really articulate this verbally.
I am already doing that.
But you're not in that. You're not in exactly. You're not.
Maybe, but I'll tell you what it is, though. When a political party wants to populate its national working publicity
committee,
once they want to populate it, they are going to pick people from different zones.
Yeah,
and people get thrown up by all sorts of non-effective recruiting models. Some are just a friend of this, some they like this, some they like that, and then what you get is what you get. But what we do as a party, I've been in this party since '98.
Yes.
And I've never left. What I do is that I back them up. I back to the Sametu up powerfully. I backed even Ologbondiyan in this time, and I'm backing Dayo. But I know that the anger in the land demands that we do a lot more. But I have been begging that, guys, don't let us destroy this democracy because of a man whose tenure is termed. We will have enough time in the next 1.5 years to go to campaign against Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And if we take a look at it, Nigerians decide that, okay, really is good for them, then they can keep him. If they decide that it's not so good for them, then they can look at other alternatives. But I always say to the opposition party, and I'm in opposition,
right.
I always say to them, the next election is a two-way referendum.
Yeah, that's correct.
It's a referendum on the ruling party and what they are doing. But it's also a referendum on the opposition.
On the opposition.
That's why I said I want to be national chairman now. Because I see that gap in opposition and the need for opposition to repurpose itself, to reskill itself, to rewrite its orientation ideology, to keep it, and then move to the people and show the people that we can.
Very
you
good.
Can't do
very
same
good.
of same and expect people to move.
Exactly. Now let's go a little bit to what has been thrown up in the course of your response. For example, you did say that you've been in the PDP since 1998 and you have never left.
Never.
But January, February this year, there were reports in the media that you threatened to quit the party.
No.
And then up to the point where you said,
Okay, let me
make space for me.
Let me make some clarification there. Yeah. My friend Bola and I are friends.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I dragged Bola into PDP.
All right.
Well, he's an APC man, with due respect.
From the beginning.
But there's always what you call honor among thieves. There's also a place where all of us that speak for parties, we meet.
Yeah, sure.
Like myself and Joe Bekwe were very good friends. There are ways we meet.
Sure, yes.
When we get to there's one leader in APC. His name is an SCA now, Babatunde Ogala.
Oh, yeah? Mm.
You know him,
yes,
Ogala,
yes. Ogala, yes.
One of their legal people. He's my senior brother. It was so funny in those days. I will be traveling from Abeokuta to attend an interview in Lagos. I will sleep in his house if it requires me to sleep over so I can make it very early in the morning. I'll have breakfast. His wife will be, Lord, thank you very much. She will make me breakfast. I will get up from his house. I will go to the studio. I will cut APC to pieces. I will drive back to his house. I will have lunch. We will review it. We will laugh. That's how I know politics should be played.
But that's how it ought to be played.
Now, so what
no
you
doubt.
see happening with us is that we are coming to a point now where like minds will have to find themselves, because the parties now don't even have any ideological underpinnings. What was happening that day was that we had originally, but I'll come to that. I was on a space with young people who were discussing the reform ideas that I was coming about with. I'm telling them it's time to reform this party. So I did the space for about 3 hours. So towards the end of that space, Bola had just gone there. Then they asked me a question that, okay, with all these great ideas you are talking about, Segun, if they don't allow you, what next? And in a sort of sarcasm, I said, if they then don't allow us to reform, after I've been there for close to 26 years, then I will say, voila, wait for me. That was the sarcasm. And on the basis of that, they took it. Well, if I want to go to the APC, let me be upfront. I've known Ashwani Bola Ahmed Tinubu by voice, by name, and by sitting together on the table at London Metropole since 1994.
Right.
Almost all the leaders that I know that are there, Daniel, former governor, the guy who first gave me an appointment in this country, is there as a senator. My very good friend is the senator representing Ogun West, who is the chairman of appropriation, Solomon Lamile, my friend, brothers. We love ourselves, we have mutual respect to ourselves. I have too many friends in that government that I do not need anybody to show me the way there. My friend is the secretary of the party, Barrister Ajibola, from Osho State. In fact, I remember the last engagement I was asking with him I was telling him, are you guys going to leave Aregbesola outside forever? Where that's the level. So I know the doors to open. I know that Akwabion is the governor of my state. We know ourselves very well. Everybody there, I know them. I've been standing here as just to show strength that we can endure. We can build opposition. We can build democratic institutions to last. And we can really hold on and do battle. And I've done battle with Tinubu, as much as I say he's my very, very, I respect him so much. I don't know what has happened to him, but I know him. Even before I became this president, can I shock you? I sat down in a room with him one day, and we ran 2.5 hours, me and him alone, before I became president. And all I was asking is, what are you going to do about insecurity? What are you going to do about the economy? I was asking him tough questions.
And he responded to
Jesus Christ of Nazareth.
But he's not doing any of those things right now.
He did not. Wait. He did not do M. You know, there's a way you be asking somebody tough. Imagine me.
It just flowed.
You know, it was not just flowing. It was, oh God, for Tinubu. How? He was articulating the positions for me, and he was connecting with the core essence of my soul. I think what has happened to him, with due respect to him, I think is that he's the one, but Ashagbola Tinubu is the one that does all the work for his people. Suddenly he's in government, he's the president.
Doesn't have that kind of support.
No. He doesn't have the space now to be doing everything by himself. And over the years, all his team have become damn lazy. He was the father that will help them to manage science, manage communication, manage everything. And now he's on the seat, and he needs them to manage things, and they are so indolent, so incompetent.
So if you had the chance now, you will ask him to fire some of those.
No, if I had the chance, I'm going to tell you straight, Mr. President. Do you know how long it took us before we could get you to become president from our Yoruba extraction? Awolowo tried, he didn't get it. Abiola tried, he didn't get it. Do you know what our national reputation is in terms of performance? Are you going to sit down there now and rob us of everything because you're going to allow people that are not serious, who are not fired, who don't have grit, who don't have capacity to be in charge? You need to rejig this thing before you go and disgrace everybody and yourself. That's what I'm going to tell you.
Let's quickly run. Now, still talking about your party. Yeah, recently they talked about reconciliation, and thereafter, shortly after, because I was like, how do you talk about reconciliation when you've not talked about discipline? But luckily, they came up again recently
let me educate you on
discipline.
that.
Yeah, now, but beyond just that, now, it looks as though this disciplinary committee is targeted at Nyesom Wike, for example.
Take. Now, thank you.
Now, should it be so? Because I have had one PDP chieftain recently here who did say that you cannot be talking about disciplining Nyesom Wike without first of all disciplining Atiku Abubakar.
Okay. You see, let the Lord God Almighty, who used to reward people, let him reward me. Amen.
Amen.
I've been screaming to the PDP that none is all good.
None is all bad.
None is all bad.
Yeah.
And I have been screaming to the PDP, my party, that you cannot scapegoat anybody.
Good.
For whatever it is you want to blame one for, there are enough of them who are guilty
of the same thing. Right.
And do not be deceived that a man speaks and talks does not mean he is bad or is telling lies. And that a man does not talk and his camera dead does not mean he's doing well. And therefore I try to say that yes, we have a disciplinary committee now. Anybody that has issues of discipline against anybody, write your petition there. That's who we are. When you bring your petition to them, they are duty bound to invite those people. Those people are duty bound to defend themselves. Then they will come up with some recommendation on the report. That report will still be brought back to the NWC, and then it will be sent to the committee of the whole, which is the NEC. Our justice system in PDP grinds slowly, but it grinds very finely. That's that. I've also tried to say, by over-pumping and over-screaming and over-shouting Wike as an individual, you are making it seem that he is the one that is the leader of this movement, which is not so. Wike by no means is not bigger than this party.
Right.
He has some responsibilities in the past, and he was able to discharge it one way or the other.
Right.
But Governor Wike is in a complicit situation now, because in one breath is very big in the APC government, and in another breath is in the PDP. His situation is made worse by the issues in Rivers.
I agree.
For if his state had not been in the news for all of the reasons, maybe people would not even be talking about it.
That's it.
But even at that, a deep understanding of how we got into this situation will help us to know how to get out of it. Because, truth be told, could we have truly said we didn't know how one of our strongest, most loyal, most fierce supporter, fighter, defender, founder.
Yeah.
How he got
to this pass.
So if we know how we got here, then it must be easy for us to know how to retrace
and stabilize the entire system.
But we did not create one after the other. We created and inaugurated the both committees the same day.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm a member of the National Reconciliation Committee, and I think our intention is to really beg, because there's nothing to be gained in saying let everybody leave the party. It will become an empty house. So we're going to be reforming by begging, but we're also going to be reforming by setting new standards, because we cannot keep repeating this. But you know, the PDP is the only university of democracy in Nigeria.
Really?
All the others, they come from us to go to them.
Okay, that's what you mean.
All the ones that their Senate president is a former PDP man. Everybody is, you know, if you go to the Peter Obi, former PDP man, the Council, former PDP man. All of them are former PDP people. So I have opted to say the PDP is the political university. Some of them graduate and go do other things, but the university is still intact. And now, after 26 years, we have a bigger duty now to reform ourselves on the inside, to clean up the party from the inside.
And that's why you want to become chairman.
And that's why I said it's time for me to be chairman.
Now, let's take it this way. Now, if you had to, I mean, who are some of the likely contenders with you?
I don't see contenders anymore. All of them have either been jumping here, jumping there.
At a time, Senator Saraki, former
No, he never did. He never did. People mentioned him, but he was not interested. And even if Bukola was, I'll ask him.
How does this work? Questions. How does this work with your constitution, your party constitution?
Well, I think
is it microzoned?
I don't know. I think that the clever thing for the party to do now is not deceive itself that one Damagum is the problem, because they've done that too often. One Alimodi Sheriff was a problem. One Bamanga.
No, I think there has always been problems with the party chairmanship.
That's the point. Okay,
maybe one person.
Secondus.
Secondus.
Only Secondus barely finished. And
finished the 4-year
So
term.
what I have been saying is that if you have a 17-man executive, and over the years you all say it's only the chairman that is a problem. So why don't we just cancel the 16 and make him a sole administrator, so we could know that we don't have
a problem. Right.
But we have a 17-man executive. After 26, 27 years, I feel that we're now due to recruit based on the capacity and the competence required to drive that organization.
Right.
And that the organization should be such that we're looking for grit, we're looking for passion, we're looking for competence, and we're looking for vision in moving forward. You know why? Because whether we get to 2027 and win or we get to 2027 and lose, the party, there will be consequences of the party if we don't reform.
Sure.
Your best efforts, you still may come short. You may come short. Your best effort, you may come short, because you can't be planning the next election on an assumption that your rivals are not planning.
Oh, no.
Our situation is even now worse, because our last outing, one of our former members, Peter Obi, has shown so much capacity until he's getting numbers that are quite scary. Positively, I mean.
Yeah, positively.
His numbers are very good.
Yeah.
So if you think that, do you know how many new younger people
who would want to
who were not voting members in the last one, who have now been moved into the voting role, who will naturally may be persuaded by Peter. So PDP does not have the luxury of not reforming. And I said to them that, look, instead of all this trouble, we can call an early Congress, like the parties in London. Sometimes there's so much problem in the country, they'll just call an early election. I'm pushing that instead of all this argument over and over. You say you are not happy with Damagum. Are you really happy with your secretary? Are you happy with your publicity? You have just mentioned the case of publicity. Right. Are you happy with your woman leader? Instead of all this, why not just call an early Congress, so we can then get a brand new ESCO, and then we can then charge them with repairing the party from the inside for 1 year before we get to election issues. Otherwise, we'll be like somebody who wants to go on a long distance swimming, but is deceiving himself that he can do it without breathing.
That's not possible. Now, I was going to ask you, what's your winning edge? But you've said that you don't see any contenders. So now, what do you intend?
The competition will be
zero.
They will be destroyed. I'll challenge them.
What makes you so confident? Who are behind your ambition? Apparently, your former principal will be behind.
No, it's not. As a matter of fact,
I'm talking about.
No, it's not. I carry the burden of anytime I say something, people say Atiku. No, it's not. From the minute I've known his Excellency Atiku, when he left the party, I was here. When he came back, I was here. When he wanted to be president in 2019, I spoke him to life.
Yeah.
And in 2023, he ran his campaign the way he knew, but I still supported him. I'm that type of person. I'm loyal to ideas, but I'm not stupid. And I don't insist that I can be running for you and not running for myself. I expect that your ambition should be able to accommodate my desires, and mine should accommodate yours. Otherwise, it's slavery, and I will never be part of that. There's no basis on this planet for me to agree to that. I've known Bola Tinubu longer than I've known Atiku. I've known Bola Tinubu since 1993-94. And I know him deeply, and I know him well. And I know him, and he knows me, know me. So if I'm not with him, why am I not with Bola? In 1999, when we came into this democracy, they wanted to run the Yoruba thing of AD and all that. And I was very clear, and I'm right. I said, you people are going to run a tribal agenda now. But when you succeed at it, you're going to want a national agenda. I would rather be in a national agenda.
From the very beginning.
And I've been in the national agenda.
Yeah. So tell us what the edge, what the strengths are.
The first is that young people really think that, okay, this guy has been our totem. They want me to lead. The second is that I have clarity as to what we need to do. Number one, you can't come from a right of center party and see that almost all the other parties in the country have also jumped to right of center. You need to rewrite your ideology.
Okay.
And for you to do that, for me, I say that I need to go back to the board and tell them that now we need to rewrite our own ideological direction in such a way that the welfare and the goodness of the Nigerian citizen is the center issue. Number two, we have allowed our laws to be so flexible to the extent that we are over litigious. We are always in court over everything, so we need to tighten that so that by a strict application of what our rules are, we can reduce the need for people to be cheated, or for us to be playing to the gallery, or for us to be sidestepping our laws so that we then create a chaos. I have also said a political party in this century must of necessity open itself up for younger and fresher faces. You can't carry the 1999 caucus continually, calling yourself founding father, founding mother. What's that supposed to mean?
But you are also a founding father.
No, I am not. I'm younger than them. Okay. These are the 1966 generation.
No, maybe you don't want to put father, but you're a founding...
No, we are the founding children. Yeah. So these founding fathers of the 1966 generation, enough. Go and rest.
Let the 70s take over, right?
Now it's time for those of us who have been following you forever to now come and fix the mess you all created.
Have we not seen youths who come to power and also flunk their chances?
About youths coming to power, you have to look at the underpinnings of the philosophy of governance. A political party is supposed to come to the table with a clear understanding of what its philosophy is, so that its members, be they governor, be they senate, be they rep, are all speaking from the same book. A political party cannot be designed in such a way that one individual can hold it and strangle it, no matter how high. You have to diffuse the power, because power must be shared.
Exactly.
You have to figure out a way to make sure that your funding infrastructure...
That's the whole essence of the democracy anyway.
Your funding infrastructure must be such that you are not so weak, because one, you are wasteful in the usage of money, and therefore you need some high-powered, rich person to fund all activities. You must be able to have your
loyal members.
You have to be able to know your members, and your members must know what the party stands for, and there must be benefits that loyal members get. You can't run a political party of 26 years on an assumption that somebody will be having problem in his own party, rather than you let your own party member take on the responsibility of the flag. They'll be jumping over to come and take your flag, and then they will get your flag, and then they'll be misbehaving with your member. You can't run a party like that. So I think that for us to build to last, we need to reform ourselves. You must clean up the top engine. You must put power on the top engine so you can pull all the coaches. If you don't do that, you are going to be wobbling and fumbling.
So this is the change that you represent, is that what
totally, this is what a repurposed, a refitted, a refocused, a better democratic institution that runs according to its law, and a less quarrelsome party.
So what would you say that you've how much effort has been put into this, and how much support have you garnered thus far around?
By my habit, I usually don't go to people to start telling them to do anything when I'm contesting. I've contested a few elections because I like to say that it's expensive even for me. But rather than me calling people, I would just say, okay, I'm the one who chose to go on this journey. Why don't I just go it at my own pace with my own resource, so that even if I get frustrated, they are not frustrated
yes, they
too.
are not.
I don't want people to say, oh, I lost my... I'll do it. And I'm happy at how it's going. And like I always tell people, I don't lose anything if I'm not the chairman of the PDP. I lose nothing. Honestly, I lose nothing. The reason being that before now, I stayed in PDP forever because it was a national party. But do you know how many national parties you have now? You have 3. Even Labour Party of Peter Obi is a national party. Albeit a smaller one. And APC is a national party. And PDP is a national party.
Definitely.
Okay, all things considered. Okay, even if I say, okay, even if you say Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you don't like his governance style, does that mean you are saying that APC will not exist again?
No.
So because it's a national party.
If wishes were horses. Now, let me ask this question, because it's baffling that a party that once boasted, I mean, one of the leaders once boasted, was going to be there for 60 years, and within short space, just did 16, and has suddenly become a shadow of itself.
No. With due respect. PDP is not a shadow of itself. Let me tell you why. Yes, they said it would be there for 60 years, but they did not take into cognizance that they couldn't have been there for 60 years the way they were at year 0. And that's what I'm saying to them now. Any organization, even a bank will reform itself. You bring in new consultants. It will change its brand. These are all things you do to give your organization freshness. Corporate affairs will tell them after 10 years, we should move up. People. It's all because of organization must be vegetating to be alive. One of the mistakes they made that allowed them to get thrown out was that they did not see the need to repair the vehicle on the inside. So they weren't servicing the vehicle, they expected it to carry them up front. And by the time the APC put in science, to Bola Tinubu's credit, by the time they introduced science to their own decision-making process, they had a lighter-footed party and they won. Now we have been in opposition for 9 years.
9 years,
they've not even, our rivals have not been there for 16.
Who knows?
Everybody's already tired.
Okay.
People are rioting every day. It was not like this with us. They are jailing people and not giving them bail. So we can almost see that they themselves are getting flat-footed.
Right.
So for me, what I say is that we now need to, the PDP needs to go back to the drawing board. We need to project different because we sincerely have changed. We need to clean up the mess on the inside. We need to tell ourselves on the inside, never again. We need to deal with corruption within the body of the party so that the Nigerian people can have faith in our ability to deal ruthlessly with corruption going forward. We don't need to keep telling Nigerians that it is the same people that will be the new messiahs. Whatever effort the old people have done, Nigerians can they have a right to want younger.
Right.
They have a right to want different.
Right.
They have a right to want me.
Right. Now, what are the chances of your party in the Edo gubernatorial election?
Wow, you see, the thing about that Edo gubernatorial election is that I want to say very clearly that the Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as president of Nigeria do not mismanage this democracy.
How do you mean?
We manage the democracy by PDP by allowing alternative political party to breathe. You can't go to Edo.
That is debatable.
We allowed it to breathe. That's how they were able to win government, and we passed on.
Yeah, but before then,
in the beginning, the teaching problem of Obasanjo cannot be the problem after 25 years.
All right, okay.
And you should have learned from some of his own mistakes anyway. We allowed this democracy to breathe until we were able to have transfer of power from one party to another. And we also allowed alternative parties to be registered and to survive.
Yeah.
This nonsense going on in Edo State where you are harassing our people, you are arresting them, you are doing all that, and then you are asking them to come and sign a worthless piece of paper called the Peace Accord.
Okay, so you support Obaseki in
Obaseki is right.
For
He's
saying
right.
he will not sign?
He's right.
Is that not desperation?
No, it's not desperation. You cannot see them, step on our people, harass them, arrest them, and then you tell us to come and sign. Are you trying to tie our hands behind our back so you can force rape us?
See, whether or not they sign, they've always done what they want to do. The politicians have always done whatsoever they want to do, whether they sign the peace accord or not. It is symbolic, yeah.
It is symbolic.
But they also know that it is symbolic.
No, it's
mainly a matter of perception, not of reality. Most of the time.
It is symbolic for us to protest that at this particular time, what we see is that the combined efforts of the police and what have you are already injuring our people. Therefore, those of you who are talking about peace accord, first of all, go and get them to comply with the attitude, the conduct, and the morality of democratic play. Therefore, if they can, take it easy on their side, then it becomes justifiable. But if they will continue to be Gestapo and Hitler-like from the police and the security institution, then let us at least say we're not signing.
Chief Segun Sowunmi has been, I knew it was going to be this way. I wish I could invite you again next Tuesday and next Thursday. No, because I know that you're up to it. Now, you have 1 minute to give a last line.
We have a duty as Nigerians, the most populous black nation on earth, to settle our own in-house issues so that we can then stand up and the giant that we are can begin to, bestride the space. If the black man will ever look up to heavens and say, thank you, God, we are something in this world, it's down to us. And it is on those notes that you kind of like encourage some business people like Dangote for doing phenomenal things. But above all, you must know, government must be bigger than the Shylocks. Government is here to make life, ought to be here to make life easier for the citizens. And Ashadi Bola Tinubu, President Federal Republic of Nigeria, time truly is running out. You need to scale up on that which people think you can or cannot do. Because the verdict of history will be very mean if you don't do well.
Thank you very much, Otumba or Chief Segun Sowunmi. Thanks for coming.
It's a pleasure.
Dear viewers, we will have to begin to draw the curtains now. My name remains Dayo Omoogun, and I do know that you have had a wonderful time with us. There are many of us who would have loved to call in. We just didn't have the time to allow you. We didn't have the luxury of time. And so let's hope that tomorrow is another day for the POLITY. I'll be here on Tuesday, and I wish you a wonderful weekend, and let's keep building our nation. Let's keep putting our heads and our hands together to move our nation forward. Let's not be part of those who want to pull it down. He talked about PhD, pulling him down syndrome. We must continue to proffer workable solutions, which are some of the things that my guest has so generously shared. And I'm glad that you are always there for us. We promise to be here for you, and that's the way it will be. Thank you for being there.